Hi guys, what's up? The phone cut me because I was busy adjusting lighting, whatever. Can't wait to get my camera. Anyway, whatever. In the last part, I ended by talking about, I was about to explain something about that Timothy Alberino spoke about, but, I got cut. Anyway, I was listening to this podcast with Timothy Alberino, and some other dude was interviewing him. And they were speaking on aliens and that deception and the recent interest in all of this extraterrestrial activity going on all over the show. They were talking on that, and among the topics highlighted was one of just the general desire of the global elites, okay, for the earth. And Timothy was highlighting that these people don't care about us. If most of us would die, that would be great. And the thing that caught my attention best was when he spoke about the next industrial revolution, and he spoke about how the first ever industrial revolution was man-focused. It was heavily man-focused in the sense that people were needed to indeed bring about this, industrial revolution to a point where even children were working for 12, 13, 14 hours in factories just to meet the demand. It was very man-focused, but the coming industrial revolutions of the future, if not the one coming industrial revolution, is going to be without us. It's going to be very machine-focused. It's going to be artificial intelligence generated. And the intention ultimately by the global elites is to get as few people on the earth as possible who are just swimmingly being glided through life by artificial intelligence. And it's evil. It's a nefarious plan to basically get rid of the Homo sapiens species. The entire replacement of the human genome, what makes us people, to be replaced altogether by, what did he call it? It's a post-human, yes, a post-human society where it is that we are no longer human, but we are something other than human that is also merged with AI. And that is the reason why the Lord is probably going to end the earth. It will be because of the fact that the Lord, for as long as we were still here on the earth as human beings, we still had dominion and permission and authority to run the show. It is our plane to be the main sentient force to run the show. But once we get replaced by something else and we cease being 100% human and start being something other than that, so we are post-human, that's when, of course, God is just going to sever everything, and there will always be a remnant that will remain of human beings in this post-humanistic era, and those will be the guys that are hugely persecuted in the tribulation, and that likely explains why it is that the mark of the beast, why people can't be automatically condemned when they take it. It is because it likely will cause some kind of, a morphing of the human being into something other than human, something that is post-human, and the remnant that remains will be slaughtered in a very inhumane way. I mean, we can't fathom today just chopping people's heads off with a guillotine, and yet that is something that has been prophesied in the scriptures. Do you understand? To happen in the future. So this post-humanistic world that we are gazing upon, it has been predicted by the World Economic Forum that it's happening in the next 120 years. As in, within 120 years, the human race will no longer be Homo sapien. It'll no longer be what it is that we understand it to be, that we understand to be human today. And Timothy Alberino believes that that is true, but that there will always be a remnant of human beings on the earth. That's the only reason why God would keep this a going concern at all. And then most of the world is going to go to the dogs as a result. Well, that whole debate or argument or discussion that he was having with that other gentleman, I low-key saw it in my dream. I low-key saw it, guys, where people were not walking, they were gliding. And there were people coming from outside of this metropolis that were but they were that aspired to be like everybody that was gliding. Anybody that was a resident of this metropolis or an employee of this metropolis, they aspired to be like them, even though they still had human capabilities. They coveted being freaky weird. People that don't walk but glide. They imagined that superhuman power, that transhuman power was actually something to desire. And the carrot that was dangled before their eyes was its ability to afford you a better life. It appeared seemly, it appeared comely, it was very attractive. And people were falling for it all over the show. Now, guys, here it is that these randoms are gliding and they're not walking, and other randoms that are walking want to be like them. and I found myself in this joint, of course, on my 2 feet, because I was still human. I'm still Karabo in the dream, and I am on some kind of a pinnacle, like a mountaintop. It wasn't a mountaintop, like the top of a staircase. But this staircase, this is after I went through the malls, the whatnot, right? And I found myself at the top here, and I understood at the uppermost part of my mind that I was looking for a job. I wanted a job. Basically, the hunger and the desire for employment that I currently have right now, I had it in that dream. And that is the reigning theme in my life at present. I am unemployed and I can't stand it, and I want to work. So I'm trying to come up with online avenues of making money. Do you understand? I'm currently looking for a job, albeit not within an orthodox space. I'm done with corporate South Africa. We all know that. In my dream, I had the same constitution. I was thinking about how I need to start making money. I'm tired of this life. Okay, and I found myself standing now at the top of this platform, man. You know, yeah, it was a platform. The steps, it had like these stairs going down, but they were heighty, very heighty. They were not normal stairs that if you just went down one step, you're not in too much danger. Here, it's like one step would, like, you had to plunge down. Not plunge. Plunge is a heavy word, but it was just a lot. You had to pretty much jump down, and it was black in color, the staircase, as it was going down, and there was like a water feature there, whatnot, because remember, this place is really beautiful. All right, I'm there looking from a sort of kind of bird's eye view, yes, and all the various places where I could work. So I'm looking at this metropolis from the angle that a person that's in a helicopter would look at the whole thing, almost like all my options are down there. I'm gonna knock on that door, that door, that door, that door, that door. I was looking at all of the businesses down on the ground where I could knock and give my CV from this pinnacle. But understand that, like I said, I was on a pinnacle, mountaintop, and in order to get to these businesses, I had to go down. I didn't have to climb a mountain, I had to climb down. But climbing down, guys, that's where things got weird. It was dangerous. It was like trying to climb down a mountain without a harness. And it's extremely steep and does not have a landing place that you can see safely, that if you land there you're going to be good. You could roll down to your death at any minute. So unless you have a harness, it is not safe to go down. Just stay where you're at. And in this dream, there were people, do you understand, that started out at the mountaintop where I was at, looking at this metropolis from a bird's eye view, trying to pick where to start applying for jobs. All of these people were walking. Remember, everybody that belonged to this environment was of this environment was gliding. But there were people who aspired to belong to it that were walking. And I was on this mountaintop with people who were walking, but they had aspired to glide. And I remember I was standing next to this woman, and she came with like a whole crowd of people that wanted to be part of this environment, right? And they were all wearing pitch black clothes. I couldn't, it's like in my country, when a woman loses a husband, she wears this widow gear with like a doogie that's black, and all of the clothes are black. Just, they were all wearing clothes like that. It's like they were widows or widowers. Some of them were men. They were wearing funeral clothes. It's like they had lost a husband. Just as I explained this dream, I'm getting like little shaky, goosebumpy reactions within me. They all were dressed in funeral gear, almost like widows, almost as if they'd lost a husband. Who is our heavenly husband? Jesus, guys. Jesus. These people were cool at the mountaintop they were at. They still had an option at life, but they were tired of suffering in the outside of this raccoon city. They wanted to glide like everybody else. And so the clothes on this pinnacle were already ones that were in funeral gear. They had already lost their husbands. It's like they had made up their minds that they don't want Christ anymore. They were tired of waiting on God. They were yet to be part of the metropolis, but their minds were made up that they're going to be part of it. So they'd already lost their husbands. They were wearing widow and widower outfits. They were rocking black funeral gear. And this woman, the woman was the one that was like, number one to try this deep. First, I looked at this deep, the staircase going down. A pavilion. It looked like a pavilion. Yeah, thank you. That was what I was looking for. I looked at this pavilion staircase going down to this metropolis down there where I can choose a job or a company to knock on the door of to try and get a job. I looked down, guys, at it, and I was scared. I mean, and personally, I was nervous that I was going to fall to my death, and I tried to climb down, and I climbed down one staircase. Guys, if I tell you, it was my height. I'm 1.75 meters tall. Imagine climbing down a staircase where the height, or to get from one staircase to the other, is the height of a 1.75 tall human being. I mean, there you don't climb down, you jump down. It was that steep to go down one staircase. It was dangerous, and on top of that, it was like steep. It was steep, and I went down this one thing, and immediately in my heart I was arrested by fear. Fear of what? Heights. I understood myself as one that was going to fall to my death. I had a fear of heights. In waking life, I have a mild fear of heights. It's not that bad. Like if I look over a balcony from a very tall building, I get arrested by some kind of street. But I'm not the kind of person to avoid, for instance, standing in front of a glass window of a skyscraper and looking at the city around. I don't have that much of an issue with heights, but I just, if at all, it's yawning open, and yeah, I might be a little bit like, but not enough to avoid it. But in this dream, I had a crippling fear of heights. A crippling fear of heights, like a crippling fear of plunging to my death. After climbing down just this one staircase, I was so scared that I held on to anything that I could. I told you there was a water feature there, and I held on to this water feature because I was scared that I was going to fall. I was scared that if I tried to go down an additional staircase, I was going to die. I was going to die. And I made up my mind that I'm not finishing this trip. I'm not going down, because the only way that I could get a job was for me to finish going down, and to therefore walk into one of the companies and knock on the doors and ask for a job. After this one climbing down thing, I stopped. I freaked out. I was scared. I wanted to climb back up again so that I could be at the place where I felt safe, but it was so tall. It was so high. This one staircase was, like I said, my own height, that I would have to, use my upper body strength, which I have none, to climb up, and I was scared to do that lest my fingers should slip and then I just rolled down this hill. So I stayed there, basically stranded. After taking one step down, I stayed there stranded after taking one step down. And in this stranded state, where I am now holding on to just about anything, I was holding on to a water feature so that I don't fall. I then witnessed the woman, the woman that was wearing funeral gear with her entourage, just climb down these stairs like they are short, like regular stairs. They just went down, and they got to the bottom and started to walk towards the companies to go and apply for jobs. I was like, how did those people easily just go down like that? When I went down just one staircase and it freaked me out, and I'm now stranded, stuck here. I basically need to be rescued. Because there's no way that I'm moving here. I feel like I'm gonna die. And those people just went down their staircase and went on their merry way. You know what that represents? I'm just gonna go on and interpret this dream as I go along. You know what that was depicting? The conscience. The conscience. It was the conscience. Those staircase was a conscience. It is erect in certain people that when they want to break away from Jesus, they just can't. When they want to break away from what is normal human, they can't. And so the moment they take one step in the negative direction, they get arrested by God, and they fear free falling. They fear falling out from the hands of God. They fear falling to their demise. They fear God. They're frustrated by what's happening around them. Life is hard, and I can't get a job. I'm restricted. But the moment they compromise, the moment they try to knock on the door of a sangoma to ask for help in a spiritual form that is not of God, or the moment they want to lie on their CV, the moment they get arrested by God, their conscience has a field day with them, and they stop, and they feel scared in that state, and they stay not in a safe place, but albeit being compromised one way, they are still salvageable. That was where I was at. I believe that staircase going down represented a conscience that gets seared. If you lose it for 5 seconds and you go in the negative direction, you know that God got you, and God is still calling you, and God has not handed you over to a reprobate mind when you can't go any further despite having taken your first step in the wrong direction. Let's move to the next part, you guys.